defining the results you expect from your podcast. Welcome back to the Podcast Why. I'm Brett Johnson, my podcast guy, your trusted friend in podcasting. This show is here to help you reconnect with the real why behind your podcast so you can keep showing up with clarity and confidence. We're walking through 5 components of your strong why this season: your podcast description, your podcast purpose, how your show ties into your business and marketing strategy, the expected results you're looking for, and your approach to creating the show. Today is about that 4th component, the expected results you're looking for from your podcast. This is where a lot of frustration and discouragement live. Many podcasters have unspoken expectations. Downloads will grow at a certain rate, clients will start flowing in, and opportunities will appear. When those expectations don't match reality, it's easy to feel like the show isn't working. The problem is not having expectations. The problem is having undefined and unrealistic ones that don't match your why or your strategy. Your why is your compass, but your expected results are like the milestones on a map. If you don't consciously choose them, you'll default to whatever the loudest voices online say, quote unquote, success should look like. In this episode, I want to help you define what working actually means for your podcast in a way that supports your why instead of constantly undermining it. Here's a composite story drawn from many client calls. Imagine a host. We're going to call him Leo. Leo runs a podcast tied to his coaching business. His why is solid. He wants to help a certain kind of person break out of stuck patterns and pursue a more intentional life. His podcast purpose is clear and his episodes are pretty thoughtful. But every time we talk, he says some version of, I don't know if the show is working. When I ask him what working means, he shrugs and says, I thought I'd have more downloads by now. Or I see other shows posting big numbers. Maybe mine just isn't landing. So we slow down and I ask, what results are you actually expecting from this podcast? At first, his answers are vague. Growth, more leads, more visibility. Then I ask, okay, but what would that look like in the real world? How would you know? He realizes he never actually defined it. He's chasing a feeling, bigger, more, without any clear markers. We go back to his why and his business strategy. His podcast role is to build trust and give potential clients a sense of how he thinks and works. So we start to define results in that context. We identify 3 types of results. 1, human results. What's happening for listeners? Are they emailing, commenting, mentioning the show on calls? Are you hearing stories that match your why? 2, business results. Are right fit clients mentioning the podcast when they book? Is the show shortening the time from I just found you to I'm ready to work with you? 3, metric results. Downloads, listener retention, basic growth over time, not as a verdict, but as feedback. We set reasonable expectations in each area based on his current stage and niche. For example, human. Aim to get 1 meaningful listener message a month that shows the show is helping. Business. Aim for a small but growing percentage of new clients to say, I found you through the podcast, or I binged your episodes before reaching out. Metrics. Aim for steady, modest growth over a quarter, not explosive viral spikes. Once we did that, Leo's relationship with his show shifted. Instead of constantly thinking it's not working, he could say, okay, in the last 3 months, I've had 3 sincere emails from exactly the kind of person I want to help, and 2 new clients mentioned my podcast. My downloads are growing slowly but steadily. By my own definition, this is working. He didn't stop caring about numbers. He just stopped letting the undefined expectations crush the progress he was actually making. Let's talk about your expected results. You don't need a 50-line KPI dashboard. You just need a small set of clear, honest expectations that match your why and your stage. Here's a simple way to start that. Step 1, write down your why and your podcast role in your business in 1 or 2 sentences each. This is your context. Step 2, underneath, create 3 headings. Human results, that's listener impact. Business results, how it supports your work. Metric results, downloads, growth, etc. Under each heading, ask yourself, in the next 3 to 6 months, what would working look like in this category? Be concrete. Examples would be in the human category. at least one personal note from a listener every month, or listeners mentioning specific episodes back to me. In the business category, a few discovery calls where people could say they've been listening for a while, or my best fit clients are nearly always podcast listeners. In the metrics column, slow, consistent growth, or holding steady while I improve my clarity and consistency. Now here's today's Podcast Why question. Right now, are your expectations for your podcast supporting your why or silently telling you nothing you're doing is enough? If you could choose just one result to measure for the next 90 days, which one would best reflect your real mission? Circle that one. Let it be your primary focus for a season. Let the others be secondary for now. If you'd like help defining realistic, why-aligned results for your podcast so you're not constantly disappointed by someone else's definition or success, that's exactly the sort of strategic conversation I have with podcasters. You can book a clarity call with me. Just head over to my podcast guy online and look for Book a Clarity Call link. We'll line up your why, your business, and your expectations so they stop fighting each other. Thanks for listening to the Podcast Why. I'm Brett Johnson, my podcast guy, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.